Here's a look at ThinkCentral Lesson 8.7. We're going to be working on line plots. This is a little overview of what a line plot is. Line plot, basically you have a number line or some sort of line, and you shows data. For example, in this one, there are 3 entries for the number 2, 1 for the number 3, 4 for the number 5, etc. I've included this slide in here just to show you that if you go to Khan Academy, it's got some really good introductory videos on line plots, so make sure you check that out. You can copy that URL there and post it in. There's also some other links here, so use this information. Alright, let's get into our first problem here. The two number cubes, dice, labeled 1 to 6, were tossed 30 times. The frequency, that means how many times they were tossed, is shown in this table. So we want to check out this table right here. So when they rolled the dice, they got 0, 0 for the number 2. 2 times the dice came up with 3. 2 times the dice came up with 4. 3 times the dice came up with 5, etc. You can see from this that the looks like the number 7 came up 6 times the most, followed by the number 8 came up 5 times. So what you're doing is you're matching this data to one of these line plots. Pretty easy to figure it out. You just match the numbers that you have here. You just match these numbers on this side to the data there. So for the number 2, you are looking for 0 tosses. So this has 1 for the number 2, so that automatically makes this line plot not match the data. Number 2 has 0 here, number 2 has 1 here, so this one again also is out. Number 2 has 0 here, so that matches. So we're down to either B or D. So for the number 3, we're looking for the number 2. So this has 2 and this has 2. The number 4 is also 2. So this has 2 and this has 2. The number 5, 3 times. So 5 has 3 and 5 has 3. 6 is 4 times. So which one has 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this has 5, but we're only looking for 4. So that would mean that this line plot does not match the data. So the line plot that matches all of the data would be B. And here is the ThinkCentral work for the view the example. So I oftentimes click on view example just to make sure my work matches with what they wanted me to do. And you can see here that it does. Spend a minute reading this and you'll get clarification if needed. So this time they have already made the line plot based off this data over here. You can check to make sure it's 0, 0, 2, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3. You know, for number 5 is 3, number 6 is 5. So this all this data matches. What they're asking you in this is to use this data and to figure out what is most likely going to happen. So a total of what is most likely? Well, if you look at the data here, or it's easier just to look at the plot, which one has the greatest number of outcomes? And it's pretty obvious looking at the plot that 7 occurs most often, so that would be the one that is most likely tossed. Problem number 3 is very similar to problem number 2. They've already generated the table for you and they've generated the line plot with the data. They're asking a total of 7 was the most likely. You can see that here, that 7 was the most likely outcome when they rolled the dice. But they're asking you why. So why would 7 come up the most often? And if you look at the numbers, the sum of 7 would occur most often because there's more combinations for 7. The reason for this, think about the different ways that you can make 7. There's only one way to make Looking at the chart, how can you roll a 2? There's only one possible way to roll a 2. That's if each die has a 1 on it. There are 2 ways to get a 3. You could get a 2 plus a 1, or you could get a 1 plus a 2. So along those lines, what has the most combinations to get the result? And it has to be 7. Think about all the ways that you can make 7. So you see, the way you could roll a 7 would be a 1 and a 6, 2 and a 5, 3 and a 4, 4 and a 3, 5 and a 2, and a 6 and a 1. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 combinations that will give you a 7, a sum of 7. Therefore, the sum of 7 should occur most often. And here is the ThinkCentral view example for the previous problem. I always like to check my work against theirs. Problem number 4, a 2-part problem. Lily bought a bag of beads of mixed sizes. She made a frequency table. That's this over here, showing the number of beads of each size. So if you read the table correctly, the size of the diameter of the beads 1/8, there were 5 of those beads. The diameter of 1/4, there were 3 of those. Diameter of 3/8, 4. Diameter of 1/2, 2. Diameter of 5/8, 2. So looking at the frequency table and matching it to our line plot, which line plot matches? I see that this one doesn't match because you need 2 for 1/2. I'm also seeing that for 5/8 you need 2, and this only has 1 and this one has 0, so these line plots also don't match. So B is the correct line plot that matches the frequency table. Alright, second part of the problem, choose a question that can be answered using this line plot. So let's read these questions and let's find out what question would be best to match these plots. So is the question, how many beads had a diameter of 1/4 or less? Well, I could determine that because that tells me that those are the beads 1/4 or less. Those are the beads 1/4 or less. So I could answer that question using these line plots. How much did the beads cost? Well, there's no data here for cost, so that one doesn't work. How many beads were blue? Again, no data suggests color, so that's out. How many beads weighed less than a gram? Well, I don't know what they weigh because this is measurement, not weight, so that one's out. So the only question that you could answer using the line plot in the frequency table would be A. And again, here's ThinkCentral's view example, step by step. You should always be reading through these or doing the step-by-step or view example if you have any questions about what the problem is asking you. And that's the end of our lesson 8.7 about line plots. Do some more research. Khan Academy is really good. Also, some IXO work will help you, but that's it. Thanks.